dead.
No, that's not
Paul
backwards.
is dead.
No, that's...
What?
That just sounds like you have marbles in your mouth. That's not backwards.
No, that's what it sounded like forward.
Dead.
Paul is dead.
That's what it sounded like
but
forward?
when you played it back, Paul
Did you do
is
it?
dead.
Because you were a big Rolling Stones.
but I've heard about it.
Oh, that was Beatles.
That's Beatles.
Oh, yeah.
It's Beatles.
Oh, yeah, not B-E-E. Okay. But I want to give you guys an example of something we've experienced all of these, many levels. But personally, okay, so...
On a personal note.
So one of our daughters had used a Ouija board at a birthday party, a slumber party. She didn't want to do it, but she was too embarrassed to call us, and she actually didn't partake in it, but she was there when they did it, and she was really upset because we had talked to her about that stuff. But soon as that happened, she had this overwhelming fear over everything, and which she never had before, things she would talk about. And then one night, and I'm sure you remember this really well, we were in the living room talking, and both our girls were in bed in their own bedrooms, and she just walks out. We were talking about the Bible. She walks out in her nightgown, looks at us like with this blank stare, never did this before, never did it again, turns around, goes back in her bedroom, and we were sort of laughing. We were like, what is she doing? She went back in the bedroom, and she pees on the floor. And we were like, what? And she was, how old was she? Maybe 11? 10?
No.
No?
No.
Younger than that?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah, we were still in the blue house. So
Right.
It was probably like 7 or 8, but way past the age of doing that.
Okay.
It was odd.
Yeah,
There's
and
no
that was a
doubt.
spiritual oppression, I believe. And then that went on, not the peeing, but it went on for years.
She's still there.
The fears and stuff.
Right.
And then as she got older, it went away. But
Yeah,
I think she was under an oppression there.
And because of, we were doing this work at that time too, so for them to be involved in any of these things magnifies it.
Exactly.
Magnifies it, because it's just a way in for the adversary to get at us for the work that we were doing.
Well, that's why so many kids are affected, because what's the best way to get to the parents? By their kids.
Through the children.
Oh, that's creepy. Now, another an example of demonic influence was our son.
Example or sample.
Now, our son, he was probably 14-ish, and man, this kid listened to some crud music. I mean, real demonic. I suspected it, but one day when he was at school or something, I took his iPod, and I looked up on the internet all these bands he was listening to, all these songs, and like almost every single one was like, hated God, and it was like demonic, and these videos were horrible. It looked like you were like looking inside hell. And
the lyrics too, yeah.
The lyrics were horrible.
I mean, if any of your kids are listening to any of this stuff, and we go, oh, it's harmless. No, it's not.
No, it
garbage in, garbage out.
Oh,
folks.
it was bad.
It's just the way it is.
And he was becoming
there's
real
nothing
dark.
wrong with just being a parent and saying, no, you're not listening to that.
Yeah, a lot of parents don't understand that it's,
Oh, it won't hurt. I did.
Well, this was that screamo dark music. It was bad. And so I confronted him on it, and he got so angry. I mean, his eyes beyond cross. His eyes got black. In fact, I got so scared, I called you at work.
Remember
and I
that.
said, you come home and you cast this thing out of him, because I thought this kid was going to... Didn't he take a knife and he said, I'm going to stab myself in my throat?
It was out of control. I had to come home.
Yeah, he wasn't like...
He was like about 12.
Was that it?
Yeah, 12. Around 12.
And he wasn't like yelling at me or cussing at me. He just stood there in this blank stare with his eyes dark, grabbed a knife, and said, I'm going to stab myself in the throat. I'm like, oh my... So I'm like, I freaked out. And that, like, again, never happened before, never happened again. That was demonic influence.
Yeah.
Okay? Now...
I knew how real it was when I come home, and his expression in his face didn't change. He was still just, I'm like...
It wasn't him.
And, that's just something you don't do with me. I'm Dad. Man, you don't play with me, man.
So when he
and I was
didn't
like,
change,
okay, we really do have a problem.
we laid hands on him and cast that thing out, and
changed. He changed, and he was very thankful about it too, because he described it as almost like you're on the inside looking out through something else. It's like it's there. You kind of know what's going on. You can feel it, and you don't seem to have a level of control. So he's not possessed, but he is heavily oppressed.
Right.
But brought in on his own account.
Right. Yep.
And because of our work, it was the problem that most kids could listen to this and maybe, if you're already on the wrong side of the fence, the demonic world or whatever doesn't really have to do much to you. You're already in the wrong place. But now if you're involved in a family that's growing Christianity and trying to teach certain morals and values, do certain things, and then you practice this, that's a way in. They're going to use it. They're like, whoa, okay, well, let's go down this. We'll go through the kid. Yeah. Sure, that's a gate. That's open. Let's do it. Now you're going to see something that maybe you don't see at Johnny across the street. Johnny listens to this. He's not trying to, cut his throat and get all angry because Johnny's been on the wrong side of the fence his entire life. His whole family's on the wrong side of the fence. They don't care.
They're not
and
targeted.
Therefore, they're not going to be used. I mean, it's just the way it is.
Yep, exactly. And you don't have to be evil to be on the wrong side of the fence. It's
no one's saying that you're evil, but I mean, you're either for them or you're against them. That's simple as that. You're either for them or against them. You're on that side of the fence or you're not.
The Bible says either you're for God or you're against Him, and so you don't have to hate God. But if you don't have a relationship with Him,
you're not involved in doing something.
Then you're a target. You can be an easy target. Yeah. And then, so another example would be possession, which I just mentioned was me on that case. Now, I think that's borderline possession and heavy oppression. But if it wasn't for you guys intervening and getting rid of it, you and the other people on the team.
Talking to the people on the podcast, they didn't do it.
No, you and the other people on our team praying for me and getting rid of that.
Are you talking to me or talking to them?
I'm talking to you.
Well, we're talking to them.
Okay, so this thing overtakes me, and I'm not going to get in the whole story because we've told it before, but on an investigation, a spirit totally took me over, and I was unable to speak. I was unable to do anything. That
you could laugh at me. You did that.
And what Jamie had said was that it was me watching what was happening and taking place, and I get really detailed in my book about what was going on because it's so hard. But so I was unable to physically move the way I wanted to or stop doing what I was doing. So I believe that was a form of possession, and if that would have been left and not taken care of, would have taken me over. Who knows where I'd be now?
Exactly.
Yeah, I'd have boils all over my face and, craziness. So that was instantly recognized. It was dealt with and it was taken care of. And I think that was to help us learn more about all that stuff. You hear the term inner demon, which means things you struggle with or you give into. But, there is some substance to that. Demonic will play with our weaknesses and our fears.
Absolutely. There's no need to rewrite anything. They already know what works against you. Continue it.
Yep.
You don't offer an alcoholic, something other than alcohol because he may not be tempted by anything else.
Yeah.
So the demonic world is always going to work on that angle.
Yeah, and that doesn't have to be possession. And we don't understand why people get to the point of possession. Only God and the demons know that. But now in the Bible, demon possession or influences have caused fevers, cutting, madness, murder, betrayal, epilepsy, deafness, mute, palsy. Demon possession has caused the gift of prophecy to be able to have ESP, to connect to the spirit realm, different illnesses, addictions, and not just to substances, but addictions to things like lust. Some people are addicted to pain, which is the cutting thing.
Maybe that's me. I have pain every day.
No, you're not addicted to it. You want to get rid of it.
Oh.
You're in pain because you work so hard. Some people are addicted to the occult, and some people are addicted to violence.
Well, addiction's anything that's going to come ahead of the things that are important in your life. You can be addicted to anything. You can be addicted to money.
That's going to take over your life.
Anything. So if you're not taking care of, your family and some relationship with God or doing something, then anything else that stands in that way is an addiction. Your car could be an addiction. I'm addicted to working on my car. Now, not me, though. I have to keep it running.
Yeah, that's important. So we're going to go over a couple known cases of demon possession, and you'll see that there are a lot of common characteristics in here, and just some neat points that we can make as we read through. Now, one of the ones, obviously, is Annalise McKell, which she was depicted in the 2005 film Exorcism of Emily Rose.
Just like every rose has its thorn.
That's very fitting. Yeah, Emily definitely had a thorn. I heard this quote. They said, if the first 50 exorcisms don't work, it's safe to say the next 50 won't either.
Sad song.
How am I supposed to talk about exorcism when you're talking about singing Bret Michaels songs?
What?
Yeah. You're singing Bret Michaels songs. What did he say? That's hot. Or no.
That's hot. That turns me on.
That turns me on. That rocks my world.
That rocks my world.
Just makes you want to put a bandana on and say that over and over. That rocks. But did you hear my quote? If the first 50 exorcisms don't work, it's safe to say the next 50 won't either.
That turns me on.
And there's truth behind that, because if you don't have the power... Now, Jesus cast out many demons, and it didn't take him days, and he didn't have all these rituals and rites and all that.
Pages of stuff and rituals and saying, no, he just,
He had the power, and he gave the disciples the power.
Oh,
I like that song.
I know. Wish I could sing it.
I was going to say that that's not exactly how it goes. But if
I just don't have the ability to sing
that high. That's a pretty high note, too. Yeah. So, but if Johnny Cash were to sing that song, you'd do it really well.
Don't cross the line.
So if you have the power, Jesus gave it to the disciples, and then he told the disciples, go teach other people how to do this.
Right.
And so if you have the Spirit of God, you have the power, but you just got to have knowledge how to use it. So let's go on about Annalise. So it was in the 1950s. She was from Germany. She was Catholic. Her family, they were very, very faithful to that religion. Okay, so, and for people listening, you don't have to be a religious person to have a connection with God, and vice versa.
Religion, and we've gone over it
You
before.
could be religious, but you don't...
Religion, by itself, by definition alone, is a set of man-made rules in the attempt to reach God, which really, you can't reach God through your ways.
Right.
You have to reach God through his ways.
Yeah, so you can be religious all you want. That doesn't mean you're close to God. Yeah.
So.
So, but they were very faithful to that religion, and at 17, she starts having seizures, but at night. And then her body suddenly becomes like rigid, and she has the sensation of enormous weight on her chest. And then she had paralysis and the inability to speak. So, back then, seizures, right? That's what they said. The clinic said she had epilepsy, and she stayed in this one place for like a year where they were treating her for that. And I guess she devoutly prayed. And then all of a sudden she started seeing demons. Well, Now they started to think, well, maybe it's the medication. They kept trying to change her medication and stuff. But, it got less and less, more and more. It would go back and forth. They couldn't control it. So for a year she dealt with that. And it only happened when she prayed. So that's why I'm like, I don't think it was the medication.
No.
So she returns home after a year, and she falls under this depression. Okay? She's repulsed by religious objects. And it's like, okay, that's a sign right there. Like, epilepsy doesn't make you, like, our daughter was diagnosed with epilepsy, and you could talk about Jesus all day long. She's not going to freak out.
No.
She's not possessed. So,
right.
I don't know.
One doesn't have anything to do with the other.
Right. She was repulsed by these objects. The family sought an exorcism, but the church denied it. So they dealt with this for a while. And people around her would hear a voice near her say, Annalise will stew in hell. It's like, now you're hearing, other people are hearing voices. So that's a physical manifestation of something demonic. So Annalise was saying that these demons would command her to do things. And then they also commanded her not to do things like not eat. But they would allow her to eat spiders and flies, coal, and she even drank her own urine. And that's not epilepsy.
No.
She became violent. She would insult her family. She was beating her sister and her parents. She would bite them. Let's see, what else does it say? She slept on the floor because she kept being physically thrown from, like, if she was in a bed or a chair, she'd be thrown across. So she was trying to get to the lowest point possible. And I guess their house in Germany or whatever, they had stone floors, which sounds really cold and uncomfortable. But
yeah, very rocky.
Rocky Balboa.
Hard place to be.
Oh, no. Not this again.
Very stony situation.
Are you done? Probably not. Should I just wait?
No,
I know you're going
to do. Why?
I can't.
Why? Can't I say anything?
Yeah, but you're going to interrupt me, and
no,
you're going to be...
No.
No?
Don't be silly. I would never do that.
So she got on the lowest point of the floor possible so that when she got thrown, she would be less hurt. She started breaking pictures of Jesus, breaking rosaries. She was screaming throughout the house, all